Okay, good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. A lot to talk about. We're in a very active weather pattern. In fact, so active that this is something that I haven't seen in quite some time, and it's not a surprise because of all the unbelievably cold Arctic air that we've had in place. Of course, when you have this type of Arctic air available, it creates opportunities, especially when you get warm air that tries to move up and over this Arctic dome of Arctic air. And that's what we're going to have occurring here over the next 5 to 7 days. And the first event now will be coming in later Saturday and then into Sunday and Monday. We'll get a little bit of a break, and then we may have even more of a blockbuster system that comes in for late Wednesday and into Thursday. And that one really needs to be watched, at least from a snow standpoint here over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Okay, what you're seeing now, and we're going to be focusing on, at least during the first half of this video, on the storm system for later this weekend and early next week. And what I want to show you is what's happening in the lower layers of our atmosphere. Now, this is the NAM computer model, and this is as of this morning, and you can see how cold it is. Still really cold here. Temperatures well below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius here in eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. But watch what happens as we go through this afternoon and then this evening and then into Saturday morning. Look how warm it gets in the lower layers of our atmosphere. This is at 850 millibars. We warm up about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius in the lower layers of our atmosphere, which is up around that 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit at 850 millibars. So that's not very far above the surface of the earth. So what this is telling you is that by Saturday afternoon, it's going to be warm just above the surface of the earth. And that's going to continue through Sunday. This is even Sunday afternoon and evening. Look at how warm it is over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. We're still talking about temperatures well up into the 40s to lower 50s at 850 millibars. And that's certainly warm enough to support liquid. And that's our problem, because at the surface, it's been so cold at the surface that we're going to have a very difficult time warming above the freezing mark at the surface this weekend. So if we get any precipitation to fall, whether it be Saturday, Sunday, maybe even into Monday morning, it's going to be in the form of liquid, and it is likely going to be a freezing rain event or freezing drizzle event that would then change to snow. And you can see why it would change to snow, because as we go into Monday, look at how the cold air starts to wrap in over eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin, so that by late in the morning on Monday, we should be certainly cold enough to have any liquid or ice change over to snow. But anyway, that's a big problem for our system this weekend and into early next week, is that this is likely going to be an ice event, and it could be a significant ice event over our area. So we'll need to watch out for that. Now, as we look at the GFS computer model guidance and we take a look at the jet stream structure, the river of air at about 30,000 feet, this is way up in the atmosphere. But take a look at, as we go through Sunday and then Monday now, this is Sunday night, and then here's Monday. You can see we are in between two jet streaks. And of course, as we've been talking over the years, when you're in between two jet streaks, right in the middle here, which would be the Dakotas, Minnesota, western Wisconsin, that's an area where lift occurs, sometimes vigorous lift, and that's why I'm expecting precipitation to break out, especially Sunday into Monday morning. Now watch what happens then as we go through Monday evening. We get under a jet streak, so that's more of a drier pattern. That would be Monday into Tuesday. But then look at what happens as we get into midweek, Wednesday and Thursday. Look at this strong jet streak. This is a powerhouse jet streak with winds of 150 to 170 knots. Now, the GFS computer model doesn't quite know what to do with this jet streak, and it's not developing much of a storm for at least Wednesday and Thursday. But the potential is there for a big blockbuster storm because of this jet streak, because of how intense it is, and the speed at which it is flowing in our atmosphere. And plus, it's coming from the southwest. So that's going to introduce moisture from the Gulf of Mexico into our area on Wednesday and Thursday, and we may have just enough cold air available to create a blockbuster snow system. And I'm going to show you that with the European computer model guidance. Now, again, we just looked at the the GFS model guidance. Now, this is the European model guidance, and I'm going to go back to Thursday morning, and I want you to, and then we're looking at the United States now, of course, and southern Canada, but Thursday morning, we have a low pressure system located in southwest Kansas. Now, I realize that this is quite a few days away, but I think this is worth stressing how large of a storm system this could be by midweek. So on Thursday morning, a low pressure in southwestern Kansas, and watch where it moves that low as we go into Friday morning. It goes from southwestern Kansas to near Green Bay, or just northeast of Green Bay, Wisconsin. That is a classic track for major snows over Minnesota and northwestern and western Wisconsin. So yes, this is a good 5-6 days away, but it's worth noting that that is what the European computer model guidance is showing. And what I also think is interesting is looking at the clash of air masses as we go into Thursday of next week. Now, this is bitter cold air. These are the temperature anomalies in the lower layers of our atmosphere. This is bitter cold air. The cold air like what we saw just a couple of days ago here in the upper Midwest. Look at where it's located next Thursday. It's over Montana, Wyoming, and the western Dakotas. Meanwhile, we have this near record or record-breaking warmth over the Ohio River Valley. And in between, which would be southern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, is where you have a battle zone. And that's the reason why I'm thinking that we are going to have an active weather pattern, not only this weekend and early next week, but then as we get into Wednesday and especially Thursday of next week, just something to be prepared for. Now, this is the last guidance. I'm going to show you the last map I'll show you. This is the potential snow now from the European computer model over the next 7 days or so, 5 to 7 days. This is through next Friday, so a 7-day period. And look at this bullseye of snow from the eastern Dakotas on east through basically all of Minnesota and then the northwestern half of Wisconsin. We're talking snow well in excess of a foot over all of these areas between now and next Friday. Again, I think the bulk or majority of our snow here in southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin would fall Wednesday and Thursday. But still, that just shows you how much activity and precipitation we're going to be having over the next several days. And one more time, I'm going to show you what it's predicting for ice. One moment. Between now and actually we'll just look at between now and Monday. Now, this is again is from the European computer model guidance, but I think it's worth showing. It's showing a fairly decent little ice storm here over much of southern Minnesota and into western Wisconsin. So I think if you were to draw a line from Sioux Falls up to near the Twin Cities to near Eau Claire, there's a pretty good potential for ice as we get into Sunday and Monday. And in fact, it could even start with some freezing drizzle as we get into Saturday. Quite frankly, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday, it's going to be soupy around here. And what I mean by that is that we're going to have probably a lot of fog, freezing drizzle, and the temperatures at the surface may be right around that freezing mark, so that it's going to be slick. Because keep in mind, with some of that real cold air that we've had, subsurface temperatures are well below the freezing mark. So any type of liquid that falls, whether it be just from fog, accumulating ice from fog, or from freezing drizzle or some freezing rain, it's going to freeze on contact, especially on the bridges and overpasses, those elevated surfaces that have been so cold. But I would tell you almost any surface, it's just been so cold lately that the idea that ice is going to accumulate is pretty good over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. And of course, everything's going to come down to the track of that storm later Sunday and into Monday, because if it tracks a little bit further south than what's expected, then that would produce more snow over our region than ice. Regardless, it is going to be busy Sunday into Monday, maybe even Saturday, and then busy again during the middle and latter portions of next week. All right, take care.